A few years ago, I had a neighbor named Curtis. Nice guy. Always outside washing this black Audi that looked like it belonged in a dealership showroom, not a driveway. Every few months, there was a new pair of sneakers, a new watch, a trip to somewhere with really good lighting for photos. And, I remember thinking, man, this guy has it figured out. Meanwhile, there was this other guy on the same street, older, drove this kind of beat-up Honda Accord, wore the same 3 shirts on rotation, never posted anything, ever. And for the longest time, I assumed I knew exactly which one of these two men was doing better financially. I was wrong. Embarrassingly wrong. And it took me way longer than I'd like to admit to figure out why. Before I get into what actually happened with those two guys, quick intro if you're new here. My name's Matt. I make videos about the psychology of money, why some people build wealth quietly while others just look like they're building it. And if that sounds useful to you, hit subscribe, because this channel is basically a running list of the financial lies we all accidentally believe. Okay, so back to Curtis and the Honda guy, whose name I later learned was Frank. Here's the thing that cracked this open for me. About a year after I moved, I found out through a mutual friend that Curtis had filed for a debt consolidation plan. The Audi was leased. The watches were on a buy now, pay later app. And Frank, the Honda guy, Frank had just retired at 54 with a portfolio worth more than most people make in a decade. I remember sitting there thinking, wait, how did I get this so backwards? And that's when I started actually looking into it. And it turns out I wasn't the only one getting fooled. There's real data behind this, and it's kind of unsettling once you see it. According to PYMTS research, roughly half of Americans earning $100,000 or more say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Half! And when you look at people earning $300,000 a year or more, according to figures reported by Yahoo Finance, around 40% of them say the exact same thing. Look, let that sit for a second. These are people most of us would assume have it made, and nearly half of them are one missed paycheck away from a problem. So if that many high earners are actually stretched thin, who exactly is Curtis performing for online? And more importantly, what is it that the Franks of the world are doing differently that never shows up in a single post? That's the part that took me way too long to understand. And once I did, I couldn't stop noticing it everywhere. Here's the thing I eventually figured out. And it's simpler than you'd think, but it messes with your head a little once you really sit with it. The stuff that actually builds wealth is, by design, completely invisible. And the stuff that destroys wealth is almost always the only thing you can actually see. Nobody posts a screenshot of their retirement account quietly compounding at 8% a year. Nobody films themselves not buying something. There's no content in restraint.
But leasing a car? Booking a trip? Unboxing something? That's all extremely photogenic. So what you end up seeing on your feed isn't a random sample of how people are actually doing financially. It's a heavily filtered highlight reel of the exact behaviors most likely to keep someone poor. And once that clicked for me, I started wondering, okay, so if the visible stuff is mostly the bad stuff, what is it that actually wealthy people are doing instead? Because they've got to be doing something.
So I started digging into what wealthy people never talk about, and the list is honestly kind of funny once you see the pattern. The first one is their actual car payment, or more specifically, the absence of one. Remember that Experian automotive study I mentioned? It found that 61% of households earning over $250,000 a year drive completely ordinary cars. Toyotas, Hondas, Fords, nothing flashy at all. Only 39% of people who could easily afford a luxury brand actually choose one. Think about that. 2/3 of high earners are quietly driving the same Camry your dentist drives, and none of them are making a video about it because there's nothing to show. A car that isn't costing you $700 a month doesn't generate content. It just generates savings.
The second thing nobody posts about is their savings rate, which is honestly the most boring number in personal finance, and also the most important one. You'll see someone post their new watch, but you will never see someone post a screenshot that says, I automatically moved 20% of my paycheck into an index fund today and did nothing else. It's not exciting. It's not aspirational looking, but it's the entire game. And here's the loop I didn't expect. Once I understood that the visible stuff was mostly noise, I started wondering, so what's the actual psychological reason people chase the noise instead of the quiet stuff? Because it's not like people are dumb. Something else is going on. Turns out there's a name for it, and it comes down to signaling. Humans are wired to broadcast status because for most of human history, status actually meant survival. Looking capable, looking resourceful, looking like you had more than enough. That used to attract allies, mates, protection. So our brains still treat visible spending as a shortcut to respect. The problem is that shortcut used to cost almost nothing. A nice hut, a good spear, whatever. Now it costs an actual car payment, an actual credit card balance, actual compound interest working against you instead of for you. We're running ancient status software on a modern economy. And look, that is an expensive bug.
And here's where it gets even more interesting, because there's a flip side to this that almost nobody talks about. The people who are actually building wealth aren't just failing to post about it. A lot of them are actively hiding it on purpose. There's a concept researchers sometimes call stealth wealth, and it shows up constantly in that Ramsey Solutions national study of millionaires, which surveyed over 10,000 actual millionaires. Not guesses, not vibes, actual people with the actual net worth. And one of the wildest findings in there is that 79% of those millionaires received zero inheritance. No trust fund, no rich uncle, and about 8 out of 10 of them built their wealth mainly through consistently investing in a regular workplace 401k, the most unglamorous financial vehicle that exists. You can't post a 401k contribution in a way that gets likes. There is no thumbnail for "I didn't touch it for 22 years."
So now I've got this whole picture forming. Quiet habits building the real wealth, loud habits burning through borrowed money, ancient brain wiring pushing people toward the loud stuff. But there was still one piece I didn't fully get until I actually sat down and ran the numbers myself. And this is where a friend of mine, Dave, comes in, because Dave's situation made the whole thing click in a way that statistics alone never could. Dave and his neighbor bought houses around the same time. Similar price, similar mortgages, roughly $380,000 each. Dave's neighbor took the flashier route almost immediately. New furniture on a store credit card, a home equity line of credit for a kitchen remodel, a leased SUV in the driveway within 6 months. Dave did the boring version. Same starter furniture from his old apartment, no remodel, kept driving his 10-year-old Corolla. And here's the part that used to sound abstract to me until Dave actually laid it out. His neighbor's HELOC was around $40,000 at roughly 9% interest, and the lease on that SUV ran him about $650 a month. Dave took that same $650 a month, the exact amount his neighbor was paying just to lease a vehicle, and put it into a retirement account instead. At a modest 8% average annual return, over 20 years, that $650 a month turns into somewhere around $383,000. Same monthly amount, same 20 years. One version ends in a depreciating asset that's worth basically nothing by year 10. The other version ends in a number that funds an actual early retirement.
Dave's neighbor, by the way, still has no idea Dave has that money because Dave never told anyone, and there was never anything to see. That's the part that really got me. Dave's neighbor probably thinks he's doing fine. He's got the nicer kitchen. He's got the newer car. If you looked at their 2 driveways today, you'd assume the neighbor was the successful one. That's the identity trap, and it's sneakier than it sounds. Once you start spending to look successful, you kind of have to keep doing it, because stopping would mean admitting the image wasn't real to begin with. So the spending doesn't just continue. It usually escalates, because the story has to keep being told. Meanwhile, the person who never started that story in the first place has nothing to protect, no image to maintain, no lease payment daring them to renew it. They just quietly keep compounding. So if the visible stuff is mostly a trap, what should you actually be paying attention to instead? Here's where I landed, and it's almost annoyingly simple. Stop tracking how anyone looks and start tracking 3 numbers that never make it onto anyone's feed. Your savings rate, meaning the percentage of your income you're actually putting away every single month. Your net worth, meaning what you own minus what you owe, checked maybe once a quarter, not obsessively. And your fixed costs as a percentage of your income, because that number, more than almost anything else, predicts whether you'll ever have room to build wealth at all.
None of these numbers are Instagrammable. None of them will ever trend. That's exactly why they work. So back to Curtis and Frank, the two guys from my old street. I think about them constantly now, mostly because the version of me who used to admire Curtis's driveway had absolutely no information about either of their lives. I was reading a highlight reel and assuming it was a financial statement. Frank never once tried to convince anyone he was doing well. He didn't need to. The compounding was doing that, quietly, in the background, for decades, while nobody was watching, which is sort of the whole point. The people who are actually winning this game usually aren't performing it for anyone, and by the time you'd think to ask, they've already been done for years. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.